If you want to become a millionaire, then property is the way to do it. Fun fact for you, property has created more millionaires than every other investment vehicle around, including ISAs, pensions, stocks, cryptocurrency, and everything in between. And it's because of these three main reasons. It's the cash flow, the leverage, and capital appreciation. Let's break down all three. The first is leverage, the millionaire's shortcut to wealth. Let me break down exactly how it works. You have to remember, when we're investing in property, unless there's a very good reason for it, you're going to be using other people's money, namely the bank, the lenders. So if we've got a property, and let's say it's £200,000, it's very easy to go, well, I must need 200,000. And for the sake of this example, we're going to ignore stamp duties and things like that. I just want to keep this really, really simple. Well, what we're actually going to need to do is put in around 25% into the property, and this gets better and better as we go through it. So a £50,000 deposit, which represents 25%. Well, the reason that's so powerful is we now have an asset that's worth 200 and will appreciate through time as we get there. So if you didn't know, the average capital growth in the UK is 7.9% a year. And that is over almost 1,000 years since the Doomsday Book. And whilst the past doesn't guarantee the future, it's a very good indicator, right? But conservatively, let's say 5% capital growth. And by the way, capital growth, you'll see it as capital appreciation, capital growth, it's inflation, basically supply and demand of the property going up on a yearly basis. Now that 5% growth isn't on your £50,000, it's on that 200,000, and this compounds each year. So 5% of 200,000 is £10,000. And just to draw a little graph to explain this, growth isn't linear. It doesn't look like that. It compounds. And so believe it or not, over a 10-year basis, this compounds, which basically means it grows and grows and grows on the growth from last year. So if you've got 10% growth on a pound, it's £1.10. The next year, it's not another 10 pence, it's 11 pence, 10% of the £1.10. And so this compounds. And so from that mere £50,000 invested to buy that £200,000 property, so on that 50,000 invested that got you a £200,000 property at just 5%, which is conservative over the long run, in 10 years, that has grown to a property worth £325,000. So in 10 years, you've made £125,000 on your 50,000 invested, which is a 250% return on your investment just from capital growth. So we've made 125,000 over your 50k, which is that 250% return. That is without any rents. That is you doing nothing but sitting on the property. There's a reason people say you don't wait to buy a property, you buy property and wait. It's really important to understand capital appreciation. So I'm going to go in more depth in a moment. And the reason why is because say you've got 200k, a lot of people will go, well, why wouldn't I just buy one? Because then my cash flow's higher, right? Because I'm not paying any mortgage. The reason to understand is that becoming a millionaire through property is about leverage. It is about taking on safe debt. And by the way, there is a difference between good and bad debt. So let's get to cash flow before that though. So when we look at cash flow, yes, you're absolutely right. If you have 200k and you just bought one property, you would get more money from that one property in your pocket every single day. Now, here's the thing. That when you could spread it, you leverage it, you're now buying 4 properties. So for example, let's say you had one property, let's say you're getting £1,000 a month per property. Well, if you had one, and let's assume there are no costs involved, and we'll do it as a like for like, just to keep it simple, you might have one property giving you £1,000 based on a £200,000 property, you times that by 12, and you are making £12,000. Now, assuming we're not factoring in management, maintenance, voids, etc., we're only factoring in debt, you might go, great, I've got £12,000. Now, keeping the numbers simple, what we're now going to be doing with that 200,000 that we've got is we're now able to buy 4 properties, okay? Now, 4 properties is going to be absolutely amazing because now we can get 4 times £1,000 per month which is now, and then over a year, is going to be 48,000. Now, don't get too excited, because the one thing that we didn't factor in before, but we have to in this, is the debt. So if we've also got 4 times 150,000, and we said that is going to be at, that is 600,000, and then let's say that debt is at 5%, which is reasonable. And just so we're very clear, in buy-to-let property, it's interest only. It's not capital repayments with your debt. You do not want capital repayments. We only want to pay interest. So if we've got 5% of 600,000, that's going to be 30,000 a year. So if we minus off that 30K, we are making £18,000. Now, some of you might go, I'd rather just make 12. But this is the thing that's really important, is when we're doing these like-for-likes, even from a cash flow point of view, you're going to make more money by leveraging and having somebody else's debt, which I'll go through in a second. And we've got all of the capital appreciation as well. The reason I really want to downplay this section, though, is becoming a millionaire in property has nothing to do with your cash flow. When you're buying a great buy-to-let property, it's not focusing on cash flow, it's focusing on it being a great investment from a fundamental point of view. Now let me get to capital appreciation. I need you to focus with this bit. There's a lot of numbers, and this is where people get confused. And I'm going to talk about things that are perceived as complex, but it's actually the magic and secret sauce. And we're going to talk about appreciation and inflation here. So if we get these properties, let's say this 200K property that we've got, and we're going to assume that 5% capital growth. Well, we know that this is going to be really important, and we compound like this. So year 1, we're going to get 210,000. Year 2, it's going to compound a bit more, so we're actually going to be at 220,500. And it's going to start compounding up like this. Now you've seen here, I've just sort of shown a random year. So by year 10, for example, it's 325,000. At year 25, a typical term of a mortgage, you're at 530,000. But the key one that I really want to focus on is year 5. So by year 5, we've got a property worth 256,000. Why have I said that? Well, don't take this as financial advice, but a majority of the time nowadays, when we're buying with a buy-to-let mortgage, we're getting a 5-year fixed product. So I want to show you what this actually looks like on the other side. So this is maybe where we're at on this growth curve right now. So at the 5-year mark, we're going to come up where we're outside of the fixed mortgage rate, and we can refinance. And refinancing is getting a new mortgage at the new value of the property. So if the new value is at 256,000, here's what it looks like. People get confused at this, but I'll simplify it. So at 75% loan to value, which is the mortgage giving you money, we're going to end up pulling out £192,000. So we're going to get that back, but we have to remember that the old mortgage was 150. Remember, we bought it at 200 and had a £150,000 mortgage. So we're going to pay off that 150K. Remember, we're keeping it simple here. And we now have £42,000 back in our bank. What do you think you can do with that money? Now, some people might go, yeah, but the fees. It's like, no, we're keeping things simple. Some people might go, yeah, but now you've got more debt on the property. Yes. Here's where your friend comes in. First of all, when we talk about cash flow, you need to remember, where do you think rents are going to be in 5 years? Do you think they're going to go down? No. Do you think they're going to stay the same? No. Do you think they're going to go up? Yes. It's just a case of how much. In our areas, it goes up an average of 8% a year, which is pretty significant growth. So the rentals are going up, which is going to cover this increased debt. And then finally, inflation. I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. Inflation is eroding the value of your money. So if you have that 200K in your bank, bad news for you. But if you have debt where it's other people's money, the bank, the lender, it's eroding the value of that. For example, if you have £100 in your bank and you go and do your weekly shop, how much do you get for that? 10 years ago, if you had £100 and you went for a weekly shop, you are I mean, could you even spend £100? Who knows? 10 years before that? God knows, right? So that is inflation at work. And when you've got debt, inflation is your friend. So the value of the property's gone up. The rentals have gone up, which covers the additional cost of the new debt at the time. And inflation has absolutely destroyed that debt for you. And what that means is you've got more money, an asset that's worth more, and now you've just released $42,000 in your bank. There's zero tax on that. What do you think you can do with that 42K? We start investing again. And here's where the compound and multiplier effect really comes into play. There's so many ways of making money. There's the cash flow increases, capital growth, inflation being your friend, taking advantage of leverage. And this can all seem quite complex, but actually it's relatively simple. The thing that's complex is what area. Because that only really works if you get the property in an area with great fundamentals. And this is where I see most people going wrong. They focus on trying to get a bit of money off a property or trying to find a cheap property, but actually in 10 years their net wealth's barely changed because they bought a dud. And the reality is you have to get the right economics and the right service value that goes around it. So this is where we come in at Aspire Portfolio. So what we do at Aspire is we help people scale portfolios. And what we charge for is the service level because we do it all hands-free. So our business, if you like, is working with people like you that have got 100,000 or more to invest in property to build your portfolio, not pay me, by the way. And the way we do that is we do the economics, we tell you the criteria we work to, and ultimately we help people triple their net wealth over a 10-year period. And by the way, that's not just in theory. We've been doing this for 10 years and we have achieved that for every single person. In fact, we've done above that for people for 8 to 10 years ago and are on track to do 50% above our target for people that started investing 5 years ago. So this is why they say you don't wait to buy property, you buy property and wait, but it has to be in the right area with the right economics. So if you'd like some guidance on that, by the way, on how to find the right areas, how to do it, because you might want to do this yourself, then what I'm doing is opening up some one-to-one slots. Ultimately, the outcome for me is to work out if you'd need support doing that. We're looking for people that have the money, they know the value of property, and they want to get great returns, but they don't have the time, knowledge, and actually a lot of them just don't want to take the risk of screwing up their life savings by buying the wrong deal in the wrong area. If that sounds like you, let's have a chat. No hard pitch at all. Let's see if I can actually help you with me and my team of professionals. We've been doing this for a decade, over 1,000 properties now. We know what we're doing. So I'll put a link in the description. You click on there, you fill in some basic details, and you schedule your simple one-to-one call. And on that, the outcome of the call is to actually give you some strategic guidance that you can execute upon. And hopefully you have that chat and you go, I'd love to work with you guys, and you start building it. And our idea is that eventually you can stop working hard for your money because we've got your money working hard for you. So click on the link in the description. If you're struggling with the link for whatever reason, just put portfolio in the comments and I will sort it with the team. We'll get a link out to you. Schedule in your call, no hard pitch. Let's see if we can actually help you. But remember, all of this theory only takes place over the 5 to 10 years to build that £1 million net wealth if you get the fundamentals correct. So let's make sure you get those correct from day one so you can start building your legacy for yourself, your family, your loved ones. So the link's in the description. I hope you got value from this video. If you did, tap the like button. It takes you 2 seconds, but really means a lot to the team. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that. You know, you want to come on here and really get the right education. Hit subscribe and the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.